Hi, everyone. So I am back and hopping right into it to episode three. I'm very excited about this because now we're going into getting that mindset, talking a little bit more about the mindset and also the strategy. So we're drafting this all because ultimately it's going to end up in I call it my big binder, the household binder, where it's all together. You have that ebb and flow, the systems, the strategies, everything aligned, ordered, and organized. So you'll be on top of it and literally have the plan in hand. But right now, we need to have the draft in hand just to make sure it's going to align with the plan that you actually want and need. Because this is to not go off of where someone else is or, no looking on anyone else's paper, no looking at anyone else's yard. We're focused on you and what you need for your household, whether you're a single family, like it's just you, one person, whether it's a couple, whether you have kids, whatever it may be, we're focusing on exactly where you are and getting that mindset to be able to align with your overall big picture. So, of course, I have my notes here just so I can stay on track because I'm not, like I said, I'm not a certified yapper, but definitely a chit chatter, and we're not going to chit chat too much today. We're getting down to business. So, the mindset actually of knowing and accepting to plan well. Now, that's something because when you have everyone you know, kind of sizing you up about the education you have, where you went or what you what you do or what you don't do, your extracurriculars, everything, you have to just silence that out and have a mindset of you and your family are the standard of your life. You are literally setting the standard for yourself. There are certain standards, and that comes in later when you more so go out into the world and you're choosing your lifestyle and different lifestyles. Yes, they come with standards and codes and all sort of things, but your home, your sacred space, is what you make it, not what anyone else makes of it. It can have their opinions, whatever, but that's not what we're here about. This is a safe zone free of comparisons and focused on personal growth and development to build your home well and know your home economy. And if you're focused on someone else's home and things like that, that mindset will quickly have you depressed, working towards goals that don't even align with what you really want. You could achieve it or go get it, and it will mean nothing to you because it's not a part of your lifestyle or your bigger picture or your plan. So, this is a way to kind of focus on what actually will bring joy and fulfillment into your life and your home economy for you and your family. That is the mindset that you need to have. And it's a bit selfish, but not very selfish because, if you think about your family, you can only be so selfish, right? So it's the mindset. And along with that, will be writing it out. So, I'm really big on writing, especially in your notebook. You want to just be able to kind of dump it all out. So it's three things that we're going to focus on doing. So if you want to do this along with me, you can, but the workbook is coming out later. So January 5th, I'm scheduling that for my release date of the workbook that's going to align with the series. I'm not going to share the name of it right now, but the release date is scheduled to be for January the 5th. If that does change, then I'll let you all know, but that's definitely, I'm aiming for that to be the release date. So we're going to go ahead and write it all out. Now, in my workbook, it will actually be like filler pages, an example, and then the page where you can go ahead and fill it in. Because I personally like to take the fluff out of things. Some things just need to be cut and dry, straightforward. And when you have a little too much fluff, it just makes you feel, it can make some people feel a little discouraged or distracted, or it's too many moving pieces and it's a lot to keep up. So I want something, I'm creating something that's actually universal to help everyone in a very direct way. So we're breaking it down in three things: the objective, when you're writing out the objective. So that's your goal. And I also like to add like a Bible verse or a quote or whatever God has told you to stand on that will, keep you pushing and keep you motivated while you're working towards the goal. So in the meantime, it's not too much of a meantime, if that makes sense. Because sometimes the meantime while you're waiting, it can seem like, oof, a lot. But when you have something to stand on and you have your word or your verse, whatever, to keep you pushing, it really goes a long way. And also just trust in the process. So we have the second part, which is just writing down the undone because we all have long lists. I don't know, maybe I'm just the we all, but I have long lists. It seems like, especially when you're in the household, it's a long list of things to do. It's a long list of appointments, so many other thoughts in your head. It's this, it's that. And you can just spread yourself so thin and thinking about all these things, and that's how you forget it. So we want to write down everything that is undone. Anything that needs to be done, write it down. And in the midst of that, just do a brain dump, even if that's a little bit of doodling. And you can set your alarm for about 25 minutes to 30 minutes and just brain dump, doodle, write down everything undone. And really take your time because it can spark anxiety and stress if you're trying to go against some imaginary clock to write everything down and just get it done as quick as you can. No, we are not getting it done as quick as we can. Carving out time to get it done and to plan well. Nothing done well is rushed. So we're brain dumping. And you can have a page for that where you just write everything down. And then from there, the third step is to highlight everything. Well, you want to use two different colors. So we're going to highlight the easy task that can be done in a day in one color. And then in another color, you want to highlight anything that might have come out that's undone, but is household, like household upkeep. So anything that is mopping the floors and, anything to do with keeping your home organized and clean and doing the laundry or what days you want to do a deep cleaning because this is going to go into the preparation of your schedule. So in the midst of building a strategy, you have to look at your calendar and really see how much time you have and what days you have to work with. So I want to highlight those. I feel like I need some water. I'm losing my voice. Then we're going into once you have it all written down and you're able to see your system, well, it'll help you to create your system, but you're able to see exactly what isn't done and what needs to be done. It makes it easier for you to do what you can. So you'll have everything highlight that you can do in one day. Pick a day and do it. Literally, some things I've done this so many times, and it's been little things that I brain dumped and put on my list of undone things that I sat, whether it was make a call or send an email, and it literally took me 5 minutes or less. And it was that one little thing that felt like it was so heavy. And it's like, that was the easiest thing to do. And I made it bigger than what it was. So think about it. The things you can do in a day, you might think, oh, hours. It'll take minutes when you just look at it head on and knock it out. Just do it. Nike is really on to something with that. Just do it because you got to just do it. No one else will do it if you don't. Now, in the midst of having all this together. So now we have your mindset. So now you're ready to do this. You're ready to create a plan. You're ready to strategize to get yourself from where you are to where you want to be and focusing on the bigger picture. You have the mission of for your family or for yourself and what you are working towards. Even if you want to include on there the reason why you're working towards it. So that's a little bit more of a motivation. You have everything laid out. You dumped whatever is in your mind that's making you feel overwhelmed or stressed or just spread thin. You've highlighted everything that you can get done in a day, highlighted those things that are household things that will continuously come up. Don't stress about it. They're going to keep coming up, but you're going to be in control of it and be ready because it's going on the calendar. And later we'll sort through what days work best for you to do either deep cleaning, light cleaning. Me personally, I've learned that I clean in a circle every day. And my sister actually told me, "Well, don't you think you'll burn yourself out doing that?" It doesn't. It actually works for me because if I have the light cleaning, the things that I can get done in 10 to 15 minutes pile up, then for me, that takes longer later and it's just stressful. So I've created a clean in a circle method that is also like a 10 to 15-minute tidy up. So our home never goes beyond the point of a tidy up, and then it still allows me to stick to the schedule of the mopping and the deep cleaning, the refrigerator cleaning, garbage disposal cleanings, and all of those things. So it sounds like a lot, but I don't want to lose you here. It works out later, and you'll just anticipate what's to come each day. And even if you need to wing it, you still be ahead enough to know, okay, this day I don't want to say wing it, but this day I can pivot and do this and push this off later because something more important came up, and your system will allow that without it buckling, which is a really good thing. That's a win-win. Now, a lot of things that I've also noticed online and just reading comments, because this series actually, I was inspired from looking at people's comments and seeing different things and just remembering when I was working in finance and customer service and at the bank and collections, and hearing people tell me what their real problems were, and even having my own real problems and having to grow and rebuild and make decisions to build a home, and going from living with my mom and not like, we weren't the household where we sat down always and talked about and laid out everything to make a plan to kind of see that happen. It's different, and to do that for myself was a lot, but I put a lot of time also into learning this and seeing what I struggle with, so then if I'm giving out advice, it's because it's been tried, it's true, it's tested, it's been smooth and refined, and it's something that can be replicated. And so I've mastered that in building homes, and this is my second time actually building a home, from leaving California, coming to Texas, and then having a winter flood and having to move me and my baby to a new home. So the system never failed me. God never failed me, but the system I created also didn't fail me. And that's because I had comprehension of the plan. You have to be able to comprehend your plan, comprehend your problems, and that'll also help you when you're reaching out to, if you have any creditors or if you have any accounts that well, all of your accounts you honestly need to maintain. Now, if you have them on auto draft, that's all good and great, but you still have to comprehend. Comprehension goes with the knowing your APR. You have to understand your accounts. You need to understand how to communicate with the creditors that you're working with. And if you have a credit card, knowing your APR, knowing your balance and where you stand, not oh, I'm not really sure. I have to log into my account to see. It's a no, yeah, I know my APR is going to be 10 or 17% for 15 months or whatever the case may be. You need to know those things, because if you don't, or you don't keep up with the news of the account, things can change. You can get blindsided and it'll throw you off later. So, like, I had a storage unit, and they would go up each year like by $10. And so they told you back in, it was like a 2020, and they would tell us probably 6 months, 4 or 6 months before the end of the year when the increase would come. So you had all this time to prepare for that increase. So what I would do as a strategy to make sure that that didn't throw me off was to start putting an extra $10 to the side. So then when the increase came, it wouldn't throw off the original budget and my plans and finances, because technically I was already ahead and had the 4 to 6 months of the additional $10, so that $40 or $60 put to the side. So when it was time to increase, I was ahead of the increase, and it always just worked out and it flows that way. So that's a like an example of a strategy, and also understanding what's going on, even if it's not a problem, but just understanding your accounts. Now, it's also the implementation. a lot of people struggle with implementation. That's one thing that I've been blessed to be able to do is to implement. Now, sometimes procrastination can come in, and procrastination to me, it doesn't affect the implementation, but it just takes you in a longer circle, like a longer journey than what you need to be in. And it's kind of a little bit of self doubt and self sabotage because if you're going to procrastinate, you're kind of sabotaging yourself. And I had to say this to myself out loud. I'm like optimistic but realistic to get over that. So you have to have your steps of implementation. So laying it all out, knowing your problem, and seeing through the lens not of fear, but to understand and to solve. So we're not looking at fear, you're looking at solution. So you'll see a problem. Let's say the problem is, giving an example, you have an account, your balance is $1,000. You literally have $2 on the account that well, let's say your balance is $998 and you only have $2 in credits. But then you have a payment due coming up, maybe in 10 days, you have a payment due and it's on auto draft because you get a discount for it. But something came up, and the exact amount of your payment is what you need to cover that. Now, that's a problem. You have to look at it not from fear, but a solution. What you can do now, it depends on how you look at this, but this is one method of what my mom would call robbing Peter to pay Paul, or trying to get ahead of it and just scheduling it. This method is more, I guess you can call it, I don't want to make up a fake name for it, but just going back to the original one. So, from Peter to PayPal. So, this is a strategy that does not sound good, but some people are literally in this spot, in this situation. So, what you would do is call, do not be afraid, call your company, call the company, and say, hey, I need to make a payment arrangement. Push the date out until when you'll have your money available. Take that amount and put it towards the bill. Now you have the credit of the amount that will cover the problem. Break the glass in the event of the emergency. And when the payment goes over to your card or the loan or whatever it is, and it's an available credit, use that to pay off what you need to stop the bleeding. Now, you have Rob Peters to pay Paul, and you will still have a balance, but the payment will be made, and then you also won't have that issue anymore. Now, we're not focused on a lifestyle of living that way, but that's just a way to not fear, but make sense of a situation that's not ideal, but it can work without pushing it off, letting them come in and automatically draft the payment out. You have the money on your account, but because you're in a state of fear, you think, oh, if I touch it, it's going to be such a big problem. They pulled it from here, and I have this issue. I don't have enough. If you're kind of following me, it goes with it, you can get sent on like this spiral. But when you go back to running it well, you'll have the system of looking at your calendar, knowing what it is in advance that'll come out, having the your income amount and budgeting it well. Now, a lot of times with credit cards and loans and things like that, it's a fixed amount or it's based off of your balance, so you really can't change that. Now, the best thing to do in this situation is to have a strategy to implement having a budget. Now, if you usually a payment budget. Now, if you know that your balance or the amount is within this range and you know like your income, let's say is $3,000 or $4,000 a month, you want to be able to plan from that with a little extra just in case so you can give yourself cushion so it will be more like a rollover in a way of additional income that you'll have after you've paid that bill and it was less than the budget. So, example, you have the $4,000, you have a bill that is $51, and you make your budget for your credit cards to be $70. So $51, or I'll say, let's say 60. So you have the payment amount $60, I mean $51, but you have a budget for 60. Now that extra $9 you can put to the side, or you can apply it to the balance because you know based off of your income that it's doable. You know, even though it's a tiny amount, that little extra will start to add up over time with taking down the balance or saving it, putting it into a savings account that is going to accumulate interest, or to, if you do have your 401k or any investment accounts, there are literally stocks that are less than $9 that you could put that in and buy one stock of something and get a return on your investment because it costs nothing but your investment to invest, and then you'll be able to get a return if you do plan well. Because I know I also have a background in investment banking, and I used to work, and I wasn't licensed at that time, but I was able to look at the market and have my account and make good decisions and just kind of follow trends. Now that is a little bit more advanced, so you can educate yourself on that because like I said before, and I truly believe, if you can learn a song, if you can learn a skill, or you can follow with celebrity gossip or even gossip of your friends and families, you can educate yourself on what you need to do to be and to do better. So you can look up stocks that are under, $9 or $10, get that, and literally watch it grow if it's a good option. And then you'll learn a little bit more about the stock market as well, like knowing when to get out and seeing the signs and reading the announcements and the news about the company. And it's really interesting and kind of exciting when you get into it. Because I know one time I actually had a stock that was like 65 cent, like these penny stocks. And I was just like, oh, I'm just going to wing it. A lot of people don't invest in penny stocks, and I did not. Trust me, I did not have a lot of money at all. But I I sold one share of something. So then I took like I think maybe $20 or so, and I put that towards this penny stock for 65 cents, and it shot up on me and it went into dollars, and I was just like, wow, I really did that. And it was all from, just winging it on a penny stock and kind of seeing it. And so then when I had moments of saying, okay, I'm gonna cook at home, or I'm not gonna buy any coffee and just get my own coffee from the grocery store and save that extra money. And I would take that extra money and put it into this like penny stock or put it into lower stocks. And these were just like really hidden, and I did so much research on it, and it worked out for me and was just such a great benefit and honestly an accomplishment, especially when you've worked in finance, to be able to apply the things that you've learned to your life and it actually works and benefits you. It's like the biggest pat on the back, clap, high five, just like everything, every bit of cheer is needed, is necessary. And that's exactly how I felt. So you can take that $9 and roll it over into something that will be an asset to you instead of just eating it or wasting it if you don't want to add more money onto the balance to lower the balance, because then later on you could sell it and maybe pay off the whole balance. You never know. So getting back to it, you when you look at it from fear, when you look at it not from fear, but from a place of solving, you see how it's just so many options come about. But when you're calling these places, now that's the thing that I've learned too, also working on the other side with customer service and in collections, people literally don't like to hear from us. Or they'll call, but hate that they're even having to call or not really understanding what's going on. And so they're coming in with aggression or confusion, or some people really do know and they're like, I made a mistake with this bill. I just have to catch up. That's it. Have a good day. Goodbye. But then you have some people who literally feel like everything is crumbling around them and they're like, you're trying to pull my leg out from under me. Like, why you see me wobbling? Why are you pulling my leg? And it's like, I'm not pulling my leg. You're making bad decisions, but I'm here to help. So when you know what's going on, you won't feel that way. So when you call, what I like to do is have a call log, because when you call these companies, the representatives that you're talking to, they literally have a call log. Now you have some janky customer service representatives and collectors that they'll get an attitude or whatever the case may be. They won't know that you try not to be located if they mess up your account. But that's for you to keep tabs and to say hi and listen and ask people what their names are. So you want to go in already with the game plan. So this is the game plan. You have your account, you know your due date, you know your balance, you know if it's overall, if you're paying the overall balance or your monthly payments. And then of course you want to have the business number. It shouldn't be a reason that you have an account with the company and you don't have their number saved in your phone. Come on now. So you should have their number. And then also make a few lines for your call notes, or if you do it on your phone, you can do it. But again, writing is very great, it's more beneficial. So you have about 3 lines for the call notes. And then at the end of that, you want to say, was the problem solved? Yes or no? Y or N? So when you call, you'll say, along the lines, hi, you get their name, you write the date that you spoke to them, and then start to write just the pertinent information of whatever you discussed. If they said they're going to change the due date, if they said they're applying the credit, if they said that they saw your payment pending, if they said they saw it posted, whatever was discussed, have notes with that. Most calls are recorded. Some people don't like to pull calls, but the more information you have on your side, the better. Sometimes, if I'm on a call and I notice that a representative is kind of on some nonsense, for lack of better terms, I'll even note down what time I spoke with them, just in the event that I have to call back and speak with the manager and say, on this date at this time, if you could pull this call, this is what was said to me, and something different happened. So, this is what I was expecting to have as an outcome, and I need you, or how can you help me to get this outcome based off of everything that's happened, what you know about my account, what I know about my account. How can we get to this outcome so I can get everything back on track? Simple as that. They don't, I mean, sometimes you can have chit chat and talk with people. Some people are really nice, but you don't need to let them know that, you had to get your tooth pulled and you've had a blinding headache and you forgot because of this and that. Like, that doesn't really matter. Like, it's little conversation if that's what you want to talk about, but we're focusing on the pertinent information and what really matters, because really great representatives are trained to do that, to focus on the pertinent information. So the more you know about your account and you come with what's important, the easier it is for them to help you, and then to even have the capacity and have their mind focused on solutions. But that's a whole nother topic as well, with customer representatives being able to have their minds focused on solutions and understanding as well. But the more that you can advocate for yourself, the better you'll be when you're making these calls. So I still have that here. You want to We're talking about making the call and being able to ask for the help that's available, knowing what's available. If you even see things like promotions and things that they have, if you've gotten an email or if they're advertising on a social media account, see if that can apply to you, or if it's only for new customers, whatever the case may be. Never feel uncomfortable calling to say, well, my bill is X amount. Like, are there any deals or anything going on that can decrease my bills? Do I have all the discounts applied? Is there anything that I could have on my account that I don't? Things like that. And it also, side note, it's also so great if you can be grandfathered into a plan. That's why I love loyalty. I don't see why people aren't loyal. Now, I get shopping around, but when you're a consumer, you actually have more of a advantage being loyal to one company. That doesn't mean you can't shop and get other things from different places, or, like I said, shop around to see if someone else offers something lower, or better. But if you're already with the company and you have that seniority, that longevity with them, you're more likely to get some additional like assistance or bonuses and different things like that that you would least expect, because you've been with them literally for so long. And they have departments for customer retention and they really care. Don't just let like one bad customer representative represent the whole company, even though sometimes it's hard not to allow that because they'll forget that, yes, you have a job, you have some power in this position, but it's the people that open this accounts that's even keeping this show on the road, you know? So the managers know that sometimes more than the representatives. But going on to the next point is just from laying everything out and coming up with the strategy. Also, we want to focus now on any bad debts. So, bad debt is uncollectible amount of money that you owe to a creditor. So, this is debt that's not paid. So, anything that you have is like a balance due that you're behind on. That's bad debt. Whatever is making you feel like you're sinking and can't swim, bad debt. You don't want bad debt. Now, on the other hand, good debt, we love that. That is financing something that's expected to appreciate in value or provide a return. So that's an asset like a home or knowledge, which would be like a degree. And I'll talk about that later. I have another, I guess you can call it a breakout series that I am planning as well to help with the students and the younger kids before you go to college and even in college. You need to make sure that the knowledge that you're seeking and those degrees that you're seeking will be worthwhile and that you truly have a plan for that because it's so many people that regret their degrees because they didn't have a plan to get the degree and then also knowing the value of that degree. So the degree that was once potentially good debt becomes bad debt because it wasn't planned out well. So I'll get to that sometime. I hope it's before next year, but yeah, we'll talk about that later. But good debt, bad debt. Now, with that, you have to have a plan for your good debt and also for your bad debt because all of this is going up against your income ratio. So, your debt to income ratio. So, if you have good debt, we want to know the balance of the good debt. So, what you have in good debt, I would kind of put that in two. So, if you do have any student loans and things like that, that's good debt, you can just kind of write a little snapshot of your the cost of your degree, but then also the value of your career and how much you're projected to make. So when you're job searching or getting extra certifications or going into specialties, you'll already be able to make these decisions with a clear mind of, okay, my degree cost me this much, but I need to align myself with a career that aligns with the degree that will make me more than it costs me to earn the degree. So you can essentially pay off those loans. Or it's even some um, employers that actually pay off your degrees, not while you're going to school and working for them, but your past degrees, like your loans that you've already had. But that's something to research. I'm not going to actually go into that. So you want to write those balances. Also, I would consider good debt any credit cards that you have where the balances aren't high, but you still have credit to utilize and be able to kind of break the glass in the event of emergency, or you can do a balance transfer. So if you have one card that's in good standings, that's considered a good debt, and then you have one that's not in a great position and it's bad debt, but the good debt has a 0% APR for a year and the bad debt, you're literally paying interest on this currently at like 29%, then that's no good. So you can take that bad debt, roll it over to be good debt, not accumulate interest on it, and pay it off only for the balance, not including any interest and things that would tip your budget higher than it needs to be. So, with the good debt, you write down all those amounts. You write the running balance, the overall, and then each account that you have that is good debt. On the opposite side, you want to write the bad debts, the overall running balance, the total, and then each account that contributes to that overall balance. Now, plans, picking the strategy of picking a plan, right? Each plan is going to cost you something. and each plan should reward you something. So, with your payoff plan, and then you can have your investment plan. So, some people will do three different options, plan A, B, and C. I don't like too many options because then that's how we can start getting indecisive. And we're not being indecisive. So you got your plan A and your plan B. Now, who was it? What did Fabulous say? Your plan B is to make your plan A work. So that's just the bigger picture. A cool way to say whatever you do is still to make the bigger picture work. So you make one plan with your income, your finances, the bad debt, everything, the strategy, and then write how much that'll cost you per month, per year. Then plan B, you make a plan totally opposite, well, it might not be totally opposite, but just different, altered from plan A, but it's still overall. So let's say one plan, literally still going off an income of, let's say, $4,000. One plan takes you to the brink, like you have no disposable income. You have that $4,000 is going towards plan A, not a cent to split, nothing to spare. That's plan A. But in the end, you'll be able to pay off the balances, be debt free, have, maybe if you're saving up for a vacation, have your vacations together, be a few months ahead on some of your smaller bills. You'll be able to pay off smaller amounts annually, and that's plan A. It maxes you out, but everything is running smooth. Plan B could be going off of the $4,000 income, but crafting it to where now we're cutting expenses. What can you cut to allow you to still have disposable income left over and also room to breathe? So, if on plan A, you've included YouTube Premium, Apple Music, Netflix, HBO, Stars, all of these frivolous things, and I guess I shouldn't call it frivolous, but extracurricular things and things that you don't really need, but more of a want. So plan B cuts out all the additional wants and keeps just the needs and the core plan if the plan is to get you out of debt or to save. So you're focused in on doing that and cutting anything that doesn't align with that. Any extra money is going to roll over into the investment plan, and then you'll be able to delegate the money where you want it to be. So if you have, let's say, $1,000 extra after cutting out the unnecessary, then you'll have $200 that you put into the stock market. You can put $500 into if you want to buy a house or upgrade or update something on your house. You can put $100 towards a pamper day. You can put $200 towards investing into you and your kids or just yourself, your winter wardrobe or when the seasons change. So you'll have that invested and put off to the side, and also getting compound interest when you put it into a good savings account and you're able to, let that amount accumulate. And you're doing this monthly because remember, it's $4,000 a month. So that extra money is going to come in monthly and it's going to continue to increase. Or you'll just continue to be able to stick to your regular scheduled program, plan A, and essentially, get there, but the investments aren't there. So you're just living, doing what you want to do. Plan A, you have your wants and your needs met, but nothing extra. So now on plan A, you could kind of say, well, hey, I need extra money. So that's either picking up extra hours or creating another source of income. But with plan B, it's more so of using what you have in a different way that allows you to get the additional money, but get it from the places that it's been going that it doesn't technically need to go. So putting it back into your pocket so you can grow it and readjust. And also, don't forget, which I discussed in other videos, when you have tax time coming up and your tax returns, you want to be able to utilize that as well. So you can put the estimate of what you will receive there within these plans as well. So that could be the C, which would include your plan in advance for how you want to go ahead and invest or break down your income taxes. So if you have, let's say, $8,000 coming in, and then you have a credit card account that's $2,500. You need a set of winter tires for $700. You literally have the money to cover that. So plan in advance to do that. So when the money comes in, you say, hey, I know I really need this. I've written this down. This is where the money is going to go. And anything else from that can go into either going half with myself on my mortgage or my rent or a car bill. So throughout the year, however long that would carry you throughout the year, you're putting yourself ahead because you've already gotten this money at the beginning of the year that's carrying you throughout the rest of the year while you already have income, but using that to go half with yourself. So each month, the additional, let's say on $1,000 payment, instead of paying $500 out of your check, you would pay the $500 out of your savings account. So then your income, that extra $500, you could just go ahead and keep saving and keep saving and keep saving throughout the year. So then while it looks like you're taking the money out of your account, it's really just being replenished, and then you'll still be gaining that interest, and you'll see at the end of the year the 500 for the 12 months of how much you'll have left over, and it'll be good. So um, that's that. And then also, it was something else that I wanted to say that I'm for some reason forgetting. I didn't write it down, but that's just the plan. So then you choose the plan ultimately and you implement it. Implementation means just to do what you wrote down. Do it, follow through, don't look back, and don't worry, and it'll all work out for your good. So, I'm just going to end here because it's so much more information I can kind of talk about, but that's going to episode number 4. So I will see y'all on episode number 4. And thank you again for joining me on this series. And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.